Hi, this is Nick Garner for Sports Talk for Kids, and I'm here live in the Man Cave with radio and TV show host Dan Patrick. Do you have any memories that you have from being a childhood sports fan?
I wanted to be a sportscaster when I was 12. So I knew then that this is what I wanted to do. I didn't know how to do it, but I knew I wanted to do it. But I knew at 12.
Did you have any athletes or teams that you really looked up to?
I followed Cincinnati teams, grew up in Cincinnati, the Big Red Machine, the Bengals, but I was fortunate that I was able to go see those games, see those teams. And back then, players stayed with their teams for a long time. Nowadays, somebody can be with a team for 2 years and it can be your favorite player, but he's just left your team.
Did you have any chances to get to meet any of your heroes?
I met them when they were playing, and got some autographs from them, but I didn't meet them and actually get a chance to talk to them until later in life. So I was able to meet some of these guys just as a fan, and then I got to meet them in my job.
Were there any times when your heroes let you down?
I think you got people who Pete Rose was somebody that I always looked up to, and then he bet on baseball and got kicked out of baseball. So that was a disappointment for me. But I told him that he let me down and the city of Cincinnati down. I was really angry because I think if you invest in these guys, as a fan, I want to believe who you are and what you are. And it was the first reality dose I got where these guys are just like anybody else. They're flawed like anybody else. And I never invested in an athlete after that like I did back then when I was younger.
How has sports changed since when you were a kid to now?
Well, I think that it's more legal. There's ramifications, there's steroids, there's trials, there's lockouts. It's not as fun. It's harder to be a fan now, I think, with the cost of it, with teams moving, with players moving. What the fan is loyal, I don't think teams and players and leaguers are loyal back to them, and that's probably the biggest problem I see with it now, being a fan.
If you were the commissioner of all sports, would there be any changes that you would try and make?
Well, I would let fans own the stadiums. So if you want to leave, I think that what Green Bay has, where the fans own the team, is great because there's a reciprocation that they love you, you love them, we're in it together. I just think there's a disconnect between the teams and the fans, and that's what bothers me. They ask the fans to build these stadiums, but then that doesn't stop these owners from saying, you know what, I think I'm going to leave because I can get a better deal. Or a player, we've supported you. I think I want to go take my talents to South Beach. That concerns me.
When you were starting the Dan Patrick Show, how did you choose your 4 guys that were going to be in here with you?
I really didn't have any other options. I was trying to get people to come with me, and I've known these guys for a long time, and I said, look, I'm going to leave ESPN. They go, what? Why? What's wrong with you? And I go, I want to do something different, have some fun. And Paulie I've known for 10 years, Fritzy as well. Seton, I've known him for about 5 years. And McLovin just showed up one day and then never left. So we had a good group of guys. We have fun. And I just said, let's put this on the radio. And people said at the time, nobody wants to hear from those guys. I said, I do. I wanted this to be fun. We have fun every single day. And I said, if that doesn't translate to, a wide audience, then okay. But I believe it will, and it has so far.
When you started the Dan Patrick Show, did you have this big of aspirations for it?
I thought it was going to be big from the standpoint of being in a lot of cities, and we'd be on TV. But it's bigger and better than I thought. First of all, this was a converted dance studio. This had not been touched in 20 years. It would have been a setting for a Stephen King movie. It looked like people had been murdered up here. There was a refrigerator that we saw when we walked in. I don't know what was in it, still don't know what was in it, and don't care to know what was in it. But I said, this is home. I live a mile away. It's above the restaurant we go to. And I said, we'll make it whatever we want to. So to have that opportunity to make this fun, and you show up early and you leave late, because why would you not want to show up early and leave late? You get to play basketball, you get to play golf, pinball, I got 15 monitors around here. This was something I thought it's sort of an adult playground where these guys would have fun. And so from that perspective, we're in 80 million homes, 240 cities. So it's not many people leave the mothership and survive, but I left ESPN, and I think we've done well.
When we started Sports Talk for Kids, it was to kind of just show the positive side of sports. How do you feel about athletes being role models for kids?
Well, I think we forget about the kids, and you grow up with an innocence of loving a team. I think it's hard now with my kids, even when they follow an athlete. And I said, that athlete is not your role model, but if there are certain traits you can get from somebody that help you, like, Kobe hasn't led a charmed life, but if you look at him, how he is, his work ethic, that he produces in the clutch and he wins championships. Certain things you take away. I don't want them as people to raise my kids, but I want my kids to understand what made that person great. Barry Bonds cheated. Roger Clemens cheated to be great or greater. Certain other people who are underdogs. Kurt Warner was bagging groceries in Iowa. Then he becomes a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He adopts children who, special needs children. There's certain things you can take from them, but I don't think you should invest fully in, an athlete and say, that's the guy I aspire to be. I think as a parent, I want to tell you certain things about them that you need to take and maybe put in your everyday life. And I think that's the important part with kids is kids will look up somebody and all of a sudden go, gosh, look at what he did, or look at what he's accused of. And I think as a parent, I want you to know I'm your role model, and then you take something away from your sports hero, that's fine.
On your show, what would make a good interview for you?
A good interview is somebody who is honest. That's all. I don't care who it is. If you have somebody who will take part in it and I can ask you a question and you'll be honest with me, then I never want to cheat my audience. I always want them to know Christian Ponder from Florida State's coming on. Well, I don't know Christian Ponder. Well, then you heard him talk about his mother's maiden name is Super Bowl winning quarterback. Then you go, okay, because I want them to know, we're going to have fun with this. I'm not going to have somebody on who's going to be boring or X's and O's. And if they are, then I won't do it again. I want my audience to trust me that I'm going to have somebody on, and the way I conduct the interview will be entertaining for them. So every interview I do, every question I'm asking, I'm always thinking, as a listener, can I keep you in the car? And that's the true test. If you have to get out of a car, but then you say, I'm going to wait, then I'm doing my job. And that's the true test of a good interview.
Who's been your favorite interview so far?
I don't know if I have a favorite. I think that you just, there's so many of them, and I do so many of these. If you look at how long I've been doing it, it still comes back to who is willing to tell you something, who forgets they're being interviewed. And that's the key. If you get somebody to do an interview, but they don't realize it, then you're doing your job. It's when you ask these questions and don't have a list of questions. You may get a great answer, but you have a list, and then you go to the next question on your list instead of following up with something they just said. I could say to you, I'm going to quit this tomorrow, but you have another question on your list, and you don't follow up with that. Right. You always have to be, the best interviewer is a great listener.
Thank you for your time, and it was great to meet you.
Let's do this. Let's do this. By the way, I just hope that he doesn't take my job anytime soon, because I have 3 daughters who have to be put through school, and I have to pay for their weddings. So just want you to know, Nick cannot take my job anytime soon. All right.
Deal.
All right. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you. This is Nick Garner for Sports Talk for Kids from the Man Cave. Hey, kids, let's talk sports.